Heather is a nurse practitioner from United Healthcare.
We meet patients wherever they live.
During a house call, she found Jack had an issue.
Jack's blood pressure was dangerously high.
It was 217 over 110.
So they got Jack to the hospital and got him the help he needed.
He had had a stent placed in his heart, preventing a massive heart attack.
If it wasn't for my guardian angel, I wouldn't be here.
Hear more stories like Jack's at unitedhealthcare.com. Benefits, features, and/or devices vary by plan, area, limitation, and exclusions apply.
What did this? That was the question on everyone's mind. It wasn't who killed them. It wasn't who killed my father. It wasn't who killed my mother. It wasn't who killed my little sister. It wasn't who did it. No. It was what. What could have done this? The only family member spared was me. Because I wasn't there. I was in college. My first time away from home. They called me out of class. The assistant dean, along with campus security. That's who told me that my entire family had been murdered. The cops kept me in the dark. They were in the dark themselves. The details of the crime scene were so horrific, none of them could believe it. The gruesome nature of these murders, the Levains. My family name now became synonymous with brutality. The family who never harmed anyone had now been torn apart, limb by limb. I tried to be helpful. I worked with the police to search for answers. I had none. The only answer I had was to the question of whether or not I was now alone. The answer was yes. The one thing that the police could agree on. The only thing that seemed to be conclusive was that whoever did this, whoever was capable of inflicting such pain, such terror, such savagery, they all had the same thought. It wasn't human. I moved back to my hometown of Hellam Township, Pennsylvania. I couldn't stay in my house, where I had grown up, where I had experienced so many cherished memories with my family. My home was now a crime scene, surrounded by cops and reporters, all day, every day. My friends tried to be helpful. What do you say to someone whose entire world has been ripped apart? Nothing. They tried to be there for me. Where was that? I was no longer living in their world. I was simply not there. The only person whom I had any direct contact with was Detective Towns, the homicide detective assigned to the case of my family's murder. Towns thought it could be helpful to go through my family history. Perhaps there was someone, somewhere, who might have wanted to hurt my family. I said there wasn't. That was not possible. The answer to every question he asked me was no. My mom, my dad, my sister, they were everything good and pure about life as I knew it. Who would want to take them away? Everyone in town sees me as a ghost, including me. I might have been spared, but it doesn't feel that way. I'm a lost soul traveling for meaning. What gets me out of bed now is the desire to find out who could have done this. What could have done this? And then one night, I noticed that a man was following me. The same man I had seen hanging outside my house. Alone. In his old beat-up truck. He was older, in his 70s if I had to guess. There was something so familiar about him. I couldn't figure out why. At first I thought maybe he was a reporter, trying to get a scoop, or snap a picture, something he could sell for a couple of bucks. Until I started seeing him around town, lurking. Even at night when I would walk around town, I would see him, in my shadow. Night was the only time I felt comfortable going into the world, when it was quiet. The day felt bright, hopeful, but the night felt honest. I decided to confront him. It had been nearly a week, seeing him outside my house, seeing him in my rearview mirror. Tonight, I saw him from my attic, in his usual spot, parked away from the reporters, down the block, all alone. I decided to go find out who he was, what he wanted from me. It was the middle of the night. Most of the vans had left. I snuck past the few remaining vultures and tapped on his window. He seemed nervous, scared. His dark complexion seemed to turn white in front of my eyes. I asked why he was following me.
Dale.
He told me.
That's my name. I'm following you because I heard about your family, and I would like to help you find what killed him.
I wasn't in the mood. I took out my Swiss Army knife, the one that my mom had given me, for protection. I held it up and said to him, "This is your warning. Stay away from me." He put his hands up in surrender. He apologized for scaring me. He said that he wasn't sure how to tell me. He knew how I felt. How? I asked him. How could you possibly know how I feel? He told me that his family died the same way that mine did. By something from another world. Dale was at work when he got the news. That his entire family had been torn apart, limb by limb. He worked overnight security at a hospital, 15 miles west from his home. It was on the St. Francis campus, part of the University of Kansas health system. He had retired from the Kansas Police Department the year before, after nearly 3 decades. He wanted something part-time, to keep busy and make a couple extra bucks. But then, he got that phone call. The call that turned his life into a nightmare. Wife of 22 years, daughter age 17, son age 15. All of them dead. The cops were at a loss. They couldn't understand who could have done this. It's been almost 25 years since that phone call. Dale has spent every waking second of his life trying to find out who killed his family. Nobody had answers. Neither did Dale. Everyone in town loved his family. It made no sense. Dale began walking alone at night. It helped him to think. He couldn't when he was at home. That was not his home anymore. It was a crime scene. So he moved out of that house. The pain of being there was too great. And then, one night, while walking, he saw it. Stoll Cemetery. There had always been legends surrounding Stoll Cemetery. That it houses one of the 7 portals to hell. There's a staircase hidden beneath an old church ruin in the cemetery that leads straight down into hell. The abandoned church was built in the 1850s, eventually fell into ruin and was demolished in 2002. Legend says rain wouldn't fall inside the church even when the roof was missing, which made locals confused and concerned. The area around the church was said to have been used for satanic rituals, including alleged witch gatherings and occult ceremonies. Another legend is that the devil himself appears there twice per year. On the spring equinox and on Halloween night, the very night that Dale was at the cemetery, when he saw a figure off in the distance. Something felt wrong, so he chased it and yelled, but the figure seemed to vanish into thin air. This is when Dale began to wonder if this legend of a portal to hell was not a legend. Was this his road to salvation? Dale began to do his own investigation, trying to track down if there had been other stories that matched his own. Families that had been torn apart in the same horrific and brutal manner. He found several in his own home state of Kansas, multiple times over the past 50 years with similar details of his family's crime scene. Was there anything that could link them together? That's when he discovered the connection. All of the murders had taken place on the spring equinox or Halloween night. Was the legend of Stoll Cemetery real? And if it was, did that mean there are more places with similar legends? Dark corners of ordinary towns that were infamous for being portals to hell. Did those places have similar crimes? They did. Dale began compiling a list. Families torn apart in the most brutal fashion imaginable, all with no leads. Cases that remain open to this day, just like the case involving Dale's own family. He would scour crime sections of newspapers all over the state. He would contact the families and tell them of his findings. They all told him the same thing. Leave and never come back. Everyone thought he was crazy. Nobody believed him. He now lived a life of complete solitude on the outskirts of town, after decades of working alone in the dark. He was close to giving up. Then he heard about my family. It gave him a reason to get up again. Hellam Township, Pennsylvania. My town. Dale said it was home to the infamous 7 Gates of Hell. An urban legend I never took seriously. Until now. Just as those who don't believe in God may pray in a foxhole, so too would someone believe in the devil if they had lost their family. Like me. Like Dale. Maybe this is how a stranger can look familiar, even in the dark night. According to the legend, only the first gate is visible by daylight, and it lies on private land just off Trout Run Road. The other 6 gates are said to become visible only at night. It's claimed that no one has ever passed the 5th gate, and those who attempt to pass all 7 are doomed to be taken straight to hell. Dale seemed tired. He expected me to cast him out, as everyone else had. I did something that nobody else had done. I listened. As Dale pulled documents and maps out of his trunk, explaining to me, in the middle of the night, everything which he had uncovered during this time of investigation, he told me that he knows how crazy it all sounds. But during his decades of conducting his own investigation, this is the closest he had come to an answer. I looked over all of his notes. I could sympathize with his obsession. We both had nothing to lose. So I asked him, "Are there any more portals?" There were at least 6 that he had seen with his own eyes. 1. Devil's Gate Dam, California. Name originates from a natural rock formation resembling a devil's face, situated downstream. Occultists Jack Parsons and Aleister Crowley believe the site to be a portal to hell. 2. Gates of Hell, New Jersey. Underground tunnel system under a bridge, allegedly used for rituals. Urban explorers have claimed many terrifying sightings while down there. 3. Bell Witch Cave, Tennessee. Associated with the Bell Witch haunting. Some claim the cave is a spiritual vortex or demonic gateway. 4. Hellfire Caves, Maine. Eerie tunnels and rumors of 1700 satanic rituals. A deep sense of wrong pervades the area, according to paranormal investigators. 5. Satan's Hollow, Ohio. Portal opened by satanic rituals in a drainage tunnel. Urban explorers claim to see shadow men and hear screams. 6. Intersection of Highway 61-49, Mississippi. The devil is said to appear at the crossroads at night, where people can sell their soul in exchange for fame, talent, or knowledge. Robert Johnson, the blues magician, is famously rumored to have done this. Crossroads often symbolize transition points, almost like spiritual liminal spaces. Dale explained, "The reason nobody has been able to find the gates in my hometown is because they didn't have the map to show you where to go." Dale opened his back seat and showed me the book. It was massive, at least 3 feet long. He said it weighed 165 pounds, made out of 310 parchment leaves from over 160 animal skins. I had never seen anything like it before. Dale explained to me the background of this 13th century manuscript from Bohemia, which claimed to be the Devil's Bible. It was created one night by a monk who made a pact with the devil to avoid execution. Whomever reads the book will either go mad or be granted visions of the end times. Hidden messages and codes are embedded in the margins, readable to only the chosen reader, such as the Antichrist. The devil is depicted as a large crowned demon with red claws, standing between 2 towers. It's one of the most unsettling illustrations in any medieval manuscript, and the reason for the book's sinister nickname. It was taken by Swedish forces during the 30 Years' War as treasure from Prague Castle. Since the 17th century, it's been held at the National Library of Sweden in Stockholm. Or so everyone thought. I asked Dale how he had this book. It happened when he was coming to find me. January 2021. Dale was traveling across the country to find me after seeing the article about my family. He stopped during the middle of the night to get gas at a tiny station in Poughkeepsie, New York. He had a cousin not too far away. He wanted to check in on him because he had become sick recently. This cousin was the only family member Dale had left. And then, just as he was about to open his gas tank, he saw it. A fire up in the hills. The historic Halloween house in Poughkeepsie, known for its association with the Church of Satan, was deliberately set on fire by an arsonist. The house, adorned with devil sculptures and a hearse, served as a gathering place for local adherents. Surveillance footage showed a man igniting the front porch with gasoline. 2 individuals narrowly escaped the blaze. The Church of Satan condemned the act, likening it to a terrorist attack, and vowed retribution. When Dale got to the house, all he could see was fire, except for a book. He didn't know it was a book at the time. The size of it made it look more like a person. It felt as if it was calling out to him. In the middle of this large library of ancient text, the fire seemed to somehow evade it, as everything else became engulfed in flames. The back of the house collapsed, creating a clear entryway to take this book. As Dale touched it, his hands remained cool. How was that possible? When Dale read the book, it felt as if time was standing still. It contained coordinates for every portal in the world. He could not believe his eyes. It was a map. The portals were everywhere. Dale told me he believes if the demons use these gates as an entrance That means they used them as an exit, too. It was how they slipped through to our world from theirs. He suspected that if he went through one of these portals, he might be able to find out what killed their families and get revenge. The catch, he said, was that he doesn't know if he will ever be able to come back after going through. The book seems to say that once you leave, you never come back. I took a long pause. Then I looked up at him and said, "What the fuck are we waiting for?"
Heather is a nurse practitioner from United Healthcare.
We meet patients wherever they live.
During a house call, she found Jack had an issue.
Jack's blood pressure was dangerously high.
It was 217 over 110.
So they got Jack to the hospital and got him the help he needed.
He had had a stent placed in his heart, preventing a massive heart attack.
If it wasn't for my guardian angel, I wouldn't be here.
Hear more stories like Jack's at UnitedHealthcare.com. Benefits, features, and/or devices vary by plan, area, limitation, and exclusions apply.